have a brand new show, and it's Compassionate Manhood with none other than my friend and yours, J. Rod. Take it away, my brother.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is J. Rod Johnson. I'm here to tell you about the new podcast. It's called the Compassionate Manhood Podcast with J. Rod Johnson. And on the podcast, we're going to be having conversations with men and anyone who plays a role that's connected to the lives of men. So we're going to talk with men, and we're going to talk with wives and daughters and sons about real life issues that men have and real life things that men go through. We're offering a perspective of what the inner workings of a man sounds like, looks like, feels like. So we're going to have real life conversations, and we're going to have them with real life people who are connected to men and these things that men are dealing with. So for an example, daughters are going to be here speaking with us. Wives are going to be here speaking with us. Sons, mentees, mentors. So we're going to have all these different types of conversations. And so if you are interested in hearing a topic discussed, or you might be interested in coming in and having a conversation regarding these topics or anything you might know of, feel free to reach out and contact me via email at compassionate.manhood@gmail.com, or you can direct message me on Facebook under the Compassionate Manhood page, and it's just Compassionate Manhood. So stay tuned. We're coming back here with you live and direct on our bi-weekly podcast. It's the Compassionate Manhood Podcast with J. Rod Johnson. Hope to see you soon.
Hey, J. Rod, I'm excited for your new show, and I'd like to know more about Compassionate Manhood. How did it get started? I mean, tell us a little bit more about you and what you do.
Sure. So Compassionate Manhood is my nonprofit organization, and what it does is I work with young men specifically. It's a gender-based nonprofit organization, and I travel to different school districts and within different schools. So I'm in about 7 different schools in about 5 different school districts. And what I do is facilitate young men gender-based programming. So we work on primarily the social emotional learning aspect. So we focus on self-esteem, self-awareness, social awareness, healthy relationships, and we also focus on things like leadership and a few other things that I feel like are equally as important to young men that you really can't get in the classroom. 2 things specifically: grooming and chivalry. And so Compassionate Manhood was formed when I felt like there was a need to see those things passed down from generation to generation, kind of like, I guess, the days of old, so to speak. And so we took a little bit from the old, we took a little bit of the new, we combined them, and we went out and sought to teach those things to young men. But we also have a chance to work with dads. We do a lot of things in the community with fathers. We do workshops with fathers. We do a lot of different volunteer service learning projects with fathers and young men for the elderly and for different different communities. So we're very, very active in the community, very active in the family, and it involves men and young men specifically.
Now, here's a question. What qualifies you, sir, to teach men on how to be men?
Well, I feel like the fact that I am a man qualifies me. I feel like I know what it is to be a man. I feel like, I learned some things at an early age as a young man. Like everybody, I made some decisions, I made some mistakes, I made some corrections, and here I am today to share my experiences. And I feel like experience is the best teacher. And so everybody has a story. And I believe that everyone's story is meant to help someone else along the way. And so I think that qualifies me because I have a story and I'm willing to share it. Transparency is very important. It makes people relatable, and so I'm very transparent about the things I've been through. I'm very transparent about the things I'm going through, and I'm open to share them. And at the same time, I'm a mentor. I'm a mentor for a reason. I've been mentoring for over 24 years now. And so that is another aspect in which I feel like qualifies me because of my life experiences and my passion for working with men, specifically with young men.
In today's day and age, you use the word chivalry. And you also know that women have this real independent type characteristics currently, where chivalry is dying out because women seem to be more, how can I say, independent or want to do things themselves. How do you combat that? How do you show a young man, a young male, how to still show chivalry to women who seem like they don't want it anymore?
I think that's a common misconception about women. I don't think it's an issue where women don't want it. I think it's an issue where it hasn't been seen enough to where it's like maybe you don't feel the need for it, but it's there. I don't think women don't want it. I just think women don't see it. And so I feel like if it's brought back to the forefront, then it'll be more openly accepted. And so I think women just need a reason from men to feel like chivalry is needed. And so if we can give them that, and then women will say, oh, thank you, like the days of old, so to speak. But I believe women are looking for it. I think that's my concern, that women are looking for it. And a lot of times we don't know what we're looking for until we see it, till we find it. So I think that's what we're here to do. We're here to give it back. And even if you don't want it, we're here to give it anyway, because that's what a gentleman does. You try to hold the door for a woman, and some women might say, I got it. Some people might say, I got it. And then it's just like, no, let me do that for you. And then it turns into a different type of conversation. It's like, oh, thank you. Well, that's so nice of you. So it's like, whether you want it or whether you're looking for it or not, we're here to teach it so that it can be offered, and we'll just go from there.
Exactly. And you also mentioned something about grooming. You're teaching the young men on grooming. Give us an example of what you show them, especially, the young inner city young men who don't really dress what I think is appropriately.
I think what the goal is to offer a different image, a visual image. Because I feel like a lot of times our young men dress according to what they see. It's almost like you become what you behold. And so if this is what you're seeing, if this is what you're constantly inundated with, then these are the things that you're going to pick up. And so I think what it's about is it's about giving a different type of visual where your pants are up to a certain place and your clothes are up and tight and you have a belt on, right? And it's about giving those images and then also at the same time teaching the value of that, because I think the values are equally as important, So it's almost like if you teach a young man how to dress, that's fine. But if you teach them the values that go along with learning how to dress, these are the whys and these are the whats and these are the whos that contribute to why this is the appropriate way to dress. And I know appropriate is a subjective word, but in the minds of men and compassionate manhood specifically, dress as young men. And so we're here to give that. And so, that's what we're going to do. It's important. It's very important. It's very important. So that's why I said we're mixing a little bit of the old, because we're bringing back traditional values and traditional dress for men. And not that it went anywhere, but again, just like the conversation with the women, I think it's just time to bring it back to the forefront visually.
Yeah, you mentioned the word confidence, building up one's confidence. It seems to me as though the confidence is built by, in yourself. Unfortunately, it seems like a lot of people, because of the different YouTube and Facebook and the neighborhood, they look at other people and they want to be like them instead of be like themselves. How do you get a person or a young man to become an independent thinker?
Well, I think a lot of times when we, as humans, when we attempt to mimic or imitate someone or something, in most cases, it's because we're not aware of who we are. And so I think self-awareness is important, because what it does is it allows young men, or just people in general, but young men specifically in this case, it allows them to see the value in being independent, in being unique, in being a free thinker, right? And so it's like, understand that we all have treasures inside of us that the world needs to be offered. and no two people are alike. And so if I'm a unique individual, that means what I bring to the world is something that no one else can bring. And I have to be able to recognize and understand that. I have to understand who I am in order to understand that there's value in being who I am. And so to glimpse of young men into themselves is a treasure, because what happens is they take that same treasure and they give it back to the world. And so that's how we begin to see a change in the behaviors, or change in the attire, a change in the attitude, a change in all the things that make up a young man or even a man. Because what you hold on to as a young man is what you take into manhood. And so what we're here to do is, offer a better glimpse into the mind of a man and into the lives of a man, so that we can kind of reverse these tornadoes of misinformation that young men are being taught, which would ultimately, essentially make better men.
Now, how often do you go into the schools?
I go into the schools 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday, and I'm in, CMSD, Cleveland Metropolitan School District, Euclid School District, Richmond. So I'm in a few different school districts, but I'm there 4 days a week, and it just depends on what day that determines what schools I'm in. Okay,
and how long have you been doing this?
I've been working with young men specifically for about 10 years. Working independently in the school districts now for about 4.5 years, and working with youth in general for a little bit shy of 25 years.
So, you got any examples of any mentees? You don't have to share any names if you don't want to. Any mentees that have gone on to carry out successful careers, or colleges, or anything of that nature?
Not specific names, but I think the beauty of that is that I've worked with hundreds, and I would dare say thousands of youth, and I've seen so many success stories. And at the same time, I've seen some stories that I wish would have turned out differently. But I think the beauty of that is when you pour into a young person, and then they do come back, and you see them thriving, you see them successful, you see them in college, you see them in a career. And in a lot of cases right now, I see the young men that I've mentored working with young people. And so I think it's beautiful to be a part of that village, or a part of these villages, to be able to see these success stories in action, and to just know for myself, that I was a part of that village and a part of that development. But at the same time, to hear it said. I saw a young man over All-Star Weekend down at Tower City, and he ran me down. He said, "Mr. J. Rod," and we talked a little bit, and he literally said to me, "You really impacted my life. I'm so thankful for you now that I'm old enough to be aware of the impact you made. I'm really thankful for that." And it was a moment for me, because I knew at the time what I was trying to do, even though he wasn't aware of it. But even all these years later, now that he is aware of it, it's still a good thing for me to know that that's how he felt, and that I played a part in that, a role in that. So I was thankful to him I told him, "Thank you for having me," because he didn't have to accept me, but he did.
Your program is a nonprofit program, and it is funded by who, or how do we support?
Well, it's funded by it's grant funded in a lot of ways, but at the same time, it's funded by primary donors. And so it's funded by independent donors, anonymous donors in a lot of ways. And so anyone who wants to support or donate, again, they can reach me at compassionate.manhood@gmail.com, or even on the Instagram page under Compassionate Manhood, where they can leave information, leave a number, we can have a conversation. And you can also reach me at 216-647-5736. That's the Compassionate Manhood phone number.
And is this an all year round type of mentorship, or is it just during the school season, or is it also in the summer and other times?
Yeah. So it's a year round program, and it's interesting that you should ask that, because in the summertime we create several different types of summer camps and summer programs. A lot of service learning programs take place in the summer, so we're out doing things in the community. We're out giving exposure opportunities to young people in different types of camps. And so the summertime is a great time because we have a little bit more liberty to do things that we can't do during the school year because of the time constraints and because of the four walls that come with the school district. So we're out in the open, we're out in the community, and we're just having a good time. We're helping the elderly population, we're helping our communities, we're helping younger children. So there's so much that goes on in the summer that is really crucial to the program, but at the same time crucial to the integrity and crucial to the development of young men and people. And then we get a lot of dads out too during the summertime to participate with us, to volunteer.
Well, I really looking forward to hearing more about your program, especially the Compassionate Manhood podcast right here on KAZ Radio Television Network. And just a few final words.
I just want to say thank you all for tuning in, listening to me. Thank you, KAZ Radio, for having me. I'm looking forward to having these conversations. It's been a long time coming, and I know we have a lot of men and a lot of daughters and a lot of sons who are looking forward to having these conversations. And we're going to have real conversations. We're going to have transparent conversations, and it's going to be very valuable to the lives of men, young men, and anyone who plays a role directly connected to the life of a man.